Hello and welcome to the EffiChem 4 product demonstration. Over the next few minutes, I'll give you some information on how EffiChem meets the needs of the regulated lab with information on our layout, how we design the modules, information on how EffiChem handles method validation, linking records, running quality trends, permissioning users, viewing and recording an audit trail, and how we prevent deletion of records within EffiChem. Let's get started. As you can see, we're looking at the EffiChem product dashboard. Now this version that I'm using is EffiChem's latest trial version. It does contain some data that gives me the opportunity to demonstrate something to you. While your version will look very close to this when you first turn on EffiChem, you're going to have to enter the data yourself from your lab as you gather it. We designed EffiChem to be very easy to use. For that reason, we've only got three basic menu options. Static data for information which doesn't normally change throughout the course of the lab. Modules, which mimics the modules here for easy navigation. And setup, which, as you can imagine, is setup. You can select backgrounds or language from user settings. You can permission security, which we'll get to later. EffiChem is, as I say, designed to be very easy to use, and all of the basic functionality of each individual module carries through. For example, let's look at samples. As you can see, here are all of the samples within our demonstration version of EffiChem. Navigating throughout the samples, or any record for that matter, is the same across whatever module you use. For example, I'm going to open a sample record. As you can see, the data itself is displayed in this table feature. You can move or adjust the width of each column so you can see more information. And if you'd like to, you can customize the layout of the sample data information itself. For example, if you want the sample date here, if you want the completed sample date here, you can make that happen very easily so that you can get the format that you need to more effectively work in your lab. Now, this method of viewing and housing data functions the same way across all of the modules. For example, we'll go to reference standards. As you can see, we've got two reference standards here pre-entered. We'll open them up, and you can view each record the same way. That technique also works for audits. You can see we've got an example audit pre-entered. You can do the same thing. That means that once you learn the technique of viewing and configuring each module, you only need to learn it once, and it carries through across all of the other modules within EffiChem. Now, because EffiChem is designed to improve the work of the regulated lab, it's important to demonstrate the method validation feature of EffiChem. For example, here we'll go into our methods module. We can see we've got two methods included for us to demonstrate. Here's our first parameter. We highlight the parameter. In this example, we've got enough data to run a full validation. We're going to pick one, in this case linearity and correlation of QC coefficient. We'll open up the validation itself. And here we're looking at the data tab. This is where you put in all the data necessary to effectively run the validation. And in case you happen to forget how to use the data tab during the course of the validation, we've got this handy descriptor here which gives information on how to enter the data itself. Now we can view the chart and we'll calculate the results necessary in the validation. And then we can easily view a report which is customized to the needs of your lab. For example, if you need your lab logo here, you need more information on the test itself, you can do that. It also provides all of the data, the results, the chart itself, the residual plot, and the underlying supporting data. For example, that's here. There's your residual plot, and it all happens with literally 2 clicks of a mouse. It's very simple and very easy to use. EffiChem users tell us that it saves them roughly 50% in data evaluation time per method validation, which means that they're saving significant amounts over the course of a year simply in time. Now, one of the things that EffiChem also does is it handles quality events within the lab. In this case, it allows you to easily view all necessary and relevant records regarding each quality event. For example, let's look at our sample module. We can see here that sample 3 is not compliant. We can see that easily because we've got EffiChem's conditional formatting function set up so that every test result which is not compliant is in this case highlighted in red. All the compliant results, as you see, are highlighted in green. We'll open up the result itself, and we can see here that the final result, in this case free chlorine, is not compliant. Now in this case we're going to link that to out of spec and observation records which we'll need to provide and complete audit trail. For example, here we see it's linked. We can open that up and we can see the out of spec event record very easily. And this is a very simple process within EffiChem. You simply click add link, select the module that you want to link from. In this case, we're going to say there's a particular person who was involved in this non-compliant result. We'll pick, in this case, Peter. We'll add him in, and now we can view all of this information very easily within EffiChem because it's all cross-referenced and cross-linked. For example, we saw our out-of-spec result in there. We can go to out-of-spec 1, view the references, and we'll see that sample 3 has been added here. The same works for personnel. Go to Peter. You see that Peter's been cross-referenced with sample 3. That's one of the ways in which EffiChem makes handling quality events much simpler and much more effective, and enables you to provide accurate and complete information to any auditors. Another feature of EffiChem which we feel is very important for the lab is the ability to run quality trends against our data. Quality is a very important feature of any laboratory, and the adverse quality events can have an impact not only for things you can easily identify like recalls or rework, but also have a negative impact on events like staff overtime or company reputation within the market. So EffiChem makes it very easy to get information about quality trends. Here with the trending feature, we've got, in this case, several tests which we've added for our demonstration version. Let's look at our assay test. Here we can see our upper range and our lower range and the quality trend of the results within that range. We can easily report that data with our graph, our underlying data, and we can save it, and that way we can easily identify quality trends within the lab. One of the other things that this trending function does is it gives you a sigma number. Now this corresponds roughly to the concept of Six Sigma, graded accuracy information, which helps you understand more effectively how your quality is shaping up in the lab. We've learned that improvements of only 1 sigma in quality over the course of lab data can have 15 to 25% improvement in overall laboratory revenue. That's not just quality based, that's overall. Now, because EffiChem is designed to work effectively in the regulated lab, one of the things that you know that's necessary is to make sure that certain people have access to certain information and other people don't have access to other information. EffiChem makes that process of provisioning very simple. I'm going to demonstrate that right now. For example, we go to Setup and Security and Roles. Now we've got several created roles for our data users. Here we're going to go to the Analyst role. We're going to see what privileges are granted to the analyst. So the analyst has the opportunity, according to here, to run operational qualifications, to migrate data, to print, export, and edit parameters, to print, export, and edit samples and access them. But what if we wanted to change those permissions for the analysts in the lab? It's very simple. We click to provide audit access. We click to provide the ability to edit an audit, to export, and we click Save. Now we go back and check, and we see that access is available. If we wanted to take away certain permissions, it's a very simple process again. Save, and now they don't have this access. Because EffiChem is designed to meet the needs of the regulated lab, one of the things that's very important is the ability to maintain and provide an effective audit trail, because one of the things that regulators are keying on now is not only the audit trail itself, but also data integrity, which includes metadata. There are two ways to view the audit trail in EffiChem. You can view the global audit trail this way. by Setup Security Audit Trail. This will give you every piece of information that's been changed, viewed, every time EffiChem has been turned on. There's a record of it here, and by whom and when. You can also individually view an audit trail for each record. So for example, let's go back to our samples and our non-compliant result. That information is easily available in each history tab of each record. So we see the metadata, the relevant metadata here. We know on what day, at what time, by whom, and on what machine this information was changed. What we're going to do now is we're going to open up each record, and we can see that in this case, the information is the free chlorine result was a 3. Now, we'll change that result, and I'll give you a demonstration of how it looks when you can view this audit trail information. Change that result to 3.5, save. Now, I view the history, and we can see that the information was originally a 3. What is it here? It's 3.5. EffiChem has retained the audit trail information for each record, as well as every change and every access that's taken place within the system. The final thing I'd like to show you, or rather show you that we're missing here in EffiChem, is a delete function. Now this may seem trivial, but it's important to remember that when you're retaining data in a regulated lab, preventing the ability of lab staff to edit, delete, or otherwise change non-compliant or out-of-specification data is very important, because any regulator or auditor will need to be aware of this information. EffiChem has a bin function, where in this case you can move a record to the bin, but that bin does not delete the information. It simply removes it from the view, and you can always view the bin. For example, here's our non-compliant result, which we just moved to the bin. We can see it, it's retained, and then you can restore it as necessary. In that way, EffiChem maintains all data integrity and all audit trail information necessary to meet regulatory requirements. I hope you've enjoyed our demonstration. I hope you've gotten more information on how easy EffiChem is to use, how it saves time with method validation, how you can easily link and cross-reference quality events together, how you can view quality trends, security, and audit trails in an efficient and effective manner. If you'd like to download your own copy of EffiChem to use, please visit www.effichem.com. If you have any questions about EffiChem, please don't hesitate to contact your local distributor or email us at support@effichem.com. Thank you.